Earlier this week, I sat down with Tim from Hardware Unboxed to discuss what we had been hearing regarding RTX 50 series supply. And actually, in said discussion, I alluded to hearing that things were getting substantially worse than what we had already heard previously, which for those who missed it, previously, Tim had a report out that said that Asus had told Hardware Unboxed twice that they were end-of-lifing the RTX 5070 Ti and RTX 5060 Ti 16GB, at least effectively. And then I followed up on their report, basically entirely backing it up, all of the claims that they made, but then also adding on that I had heard high-end laptops were also going to be affected by this as well. And today I can finally come clean about what I hinted at to Tim in the previous Broken Silicon. And it's that the 5060 is also being effectively put on hold as well. Yep, even the 5060. In fact, from what I am being told, basically Nvidia is de facto pausing RTX 50 series production for the next 6 or so months. Which actually, let's just get right to the quotes. So this comes from a handful of sources that I talked to this week that were willing to be quoted anonymously. The first one, a distributor, told me that they had just got done talking with multiple AIBs on the phone, and it sounded like the 5060 is done for the next 6 months. Everyone says that Nvidia vastly overbooked AI sales and therefore needs to pause almost all RTX 50 series production until at least Q3 of this year. That means the 5090, 5070 Ti, 5060 Ti, 16GB, and yes, even the 5060 will soon be unobtainium, and that the 5080, 5070, and 5060 Ti 8GB will trickle in with incredibly low volume. Then another source, this person who works at a major retailer, told me that they were just briefed that they should soon expect 5060 supply to get worse until at least Q4. In fact, this person was specifically told that the 5050 and 5060 Ti 8GB are going to be most of the volume through the summer. Yes, there will be a trickle of 5080s and 5070s, but not enough, and that Nvidia will re-examine the market in Q4. Maybe they will turn up supply for Christmas. Now, a third source that was willing to be quoted as well, this person who is a person that works at an AIB, told me that for the foreseeable future, Nvidia is effectively only selling them 5080, 5070, and 5060 Ti 8GB and 5050 bomb kits. As for why Nvidia is effectively pausing 5060 production, the person pointed out that it's all about cost and RAM. The 5050 uses GDDR6. That's also why Nvidia is spinning up 3060 12GB production, because that uses GDDR6, which is not as in competition with the most expensive memory that Nvidia wants to use for its AI contracts. But then also the 5060 Ti, well, yes, it uses GDDR7, but it uses the same die as the 5060, and they can conceivably sell it for a lot more while using the same amount of RAM, and so it is preferable. The 5060 is just the odd man out when it comes to that die. Oh, and this person told me this as well, that everybody should get ready for a 30% baseline price increase to GPUs imminently. Nvidia is raising the cost of bomb kits that AIBs have to pay to then complete them into graphics cards. Remember, Nvidia controls those prices, and that is what causes AIBs to raise prices. Those prices are going up. And actually, I now want to talk about what this means for their overall market and tell you why you should take this report very seriously, but first, an ad from a sponsor. This piece of content is brought to you by Cook Unity. Look, there's many chef to consumer meals delivery services out there, but I have to say that when it comes to selection and a quality of selection, Cook Unity really stands out. And I want to be clear what I mean by that, because when I say a quality of selection, I'm talking about more than just quantity. It's not just about the total number of meals to choose from. No, it's about the total number of high quality meals to choose from. With Cook Unity really impressed me. Seriously, selecting from the various options, just even in my own niche, filtering for my tastes, I thought, okay, there'll probably be like 10, 20 to choose from. There weren't. There were dozens and dozens to choose from, and it was very hard for me to select which meals I wanted to have during the week that I tried Cook Unity, because there were many that were basically tied for first place. Again, the quality of selection is really incredible, and it's not just that they sounded or looked good on paper. I tried a handful of these, and whether it was the guajillo pork chop and rosemary cream, or the pork chop and caramelized onion sauce, or even the cowboy butter steak bites by executive chef Tracy Bloom, who resides in Atlanta, Georgia. I really like that one, actually. But they all tasted great, and I had them with my girlfriend. She thought they all tasted fantastic. I mean it, I genuinely was impressed by the taste of each and every one of the meals I tried. So if you are interested, go to the link in the description to try Cook Unity and get 50% off your first order of chef-made meals delivered fresh to your door. That's right, Cook Unity is offering my viewers 50% off their first order. Click on the link in the description below and then use my code MOORE50. That's more50, MOORE50 to get 50% off your first order. Even just clicking on the link helps the channel a ton, but of course also trying it out with that offer code through the link below helps even more. So support Moore's Law is Dead by trying out Cook Unity today. All right, so now that I've told you what's going to happen, let me now tell you why you should take my reporting in today's video seriously. And let's do it with a couple of examples. So first example, here's a video I put out about the 5090 being effectively end-of-lifed by early 2026, saying that prices should rise to $4,000 or more. And then here is an Access journalist regurgitating Nvidia's lies. And here's where 5090 pricing is now. Who was right? Me or Nvidia and their shills? I don't know. Let's look at another example. Here's Hardware Unboxed 5070 Ti reporting, and then my reporting on everything from the 5060 Ti 16GB to the 5080 being effectively end-of-lifed, at least temporarily. And then here's more lies to the press from Nvidia, and then here's where prices are today on these products. Who was right? Who was telling the truth? Me and Hardware Unboxed or Nvidia? And I think this is important because actually right before I started recording, I checked 5060 prices. They're already rising. And it makes sense they are already rising because, well, retailers were briefed that 5060 supply is going to be cut earlier this week. And so days later, prices are already rising. Guys, this is serious. Do not listen to lie after lie after lie. It's happening again. Although this time, I think it's extra serious. You see, even if you think the RTX 5060 is stupid, and hey, look, I pretty much do, especially in desktop form, I would not recommend the RTX 5060 unless it was definitely below its $300 MSRP. Honestly, it's hard for me to recommend it at all. But I'm not everybody, and normies love the 60 series. Sure, the 60 series this generation is not selling as well as Nvidia wanted it to. At least that's what I am told by my sources at Nvidia, that the 4060 actually ended up selling very well, but the 5060 series is not rebounding in sales. People really are kind of rejecting 8GB cards uniformly now. Even so, you regularly do see the 60 series in the top 10 on Amazon. This is still a substantial part of their volume. And so if Nvidia is cutting production down to nearly nothing on one of their most popular models, one that in times of plenty typically is their best-selling model, that means that they are effectively pausing production on the entire RTX 50 series. And that's something that I quoted there earlier in the video from my sources, but something that I need to reiterate here at the end of the video. That my point today is not just that like the 60 series is going to get overpriced and hard to get, and that you should just, oh, well then look for the 5060 Ti 8GB and look for the 5080. No, look at where 5080 prices are. Even the cards that are going to be trickled out are going to be in pretty dang low volume. In fact, right before I started recording, a source told me that wasn't quoted earlier in the video that the 5050, it's still not going to be enough volume, and it's still going to be overpriced. That's the point of today's video. That with the 5060 production cuts coming, and adding that up with all the other leaks that have come out this month regarding 50 series supply for this year, effectively, RTX 50 series isn't really going to be in production in any meaningful way until maybe Q4 of this year. And that's because Nvidia overbooked their sales to their AI customers and need that extra capacity. It is not that one or two models or whatever, blah, 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 RAM. It's not about even just the RAM now. It is about the raw wafer capacity that they need to make AI chips, not gaming chips. And in fact, actually, I will say this as well. I've also heard that even RX 9060 XT 16GB supply is probably going to start to be throttled. Not necessarily 9070 XT. No, AMD isn't throttling GPU supply like Nvidia is. They're not. But it's going to get harder. And honestly, like, either way, and AMD can't supply the entire market. And so that's something I got to close on in today's video as well. Buy now if you need any of these products and they're still at a reasonable price. If you see a 9070 XT for $650, get it now if you want to get one at any point this year. If you want to buy, if you're like, I'm going to wait till November, don't wait till November if you can buy it now. And it's not crazy overpriced. No, do not buy a 5070 Ti for $1,000. That is not my advice. Don't reward what Nvidia is doing. But, you know, again, 9060 XT 16 gigabyte for like $380, $400. If you were probably going to buy a card at some point this year anyways, I really do think this is your last chance in the coming weeks. And besides that, all I can say is, don't worry, I've got more reports coming. In fact, about a device that I believe might make people freak out if I do leak that it might run out of supply at some point soon. But I'm not going to do that leak yet until I dot the I's and cross the T's because, well, let's just say that it's a product that tends to cause a lot of consternation every time I talk about it because of how popular it is. And so, well, for now, that's just going to have to do it for today's video. But make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that upcoming report if I am able to confirm enough information to put it out. Subscribing to Moore's Law really does help the channel a ton as well. It helps us get recommended more. Also, please ring the bell button, give us hype points on mobile, like, share this video. Sharing helps so much. And then also consider supporting Moore's Law is Dead on Patreon. We cannot do this without our patrons, and you get rewarded with a catalog of hundreds of die shrinks. No matter what tier you're at, you get access to many of them. A new one's coming out this week. You can ask us questions even at the lowest tier, like Tim from Hardware Unboxed. Actually, just Josh, a laptop reviewer, is going to be on as the next guest as well. Ask him questions just at the $1 tier. But for everybody else, no matter what, if you made it this far into the video, thank you for watching.